If you're anything like me, I have so many goals in mind that I want to accomplish that I get sidetracked sometimes. Are the things that keep you busy the things that really matter to you? Well, in this Glam Slam Goals plan, we're going to figure out what it is that actually matters and how we can spend more time working on those goals instead of being addicted to busyness. So I've printed my planner and placed in a 3-ring binder. Just bought this at a local discount store, just punched holes. And I'm going to take you on a tour and show you some of the worksheets. Now, there are over 30 worksheets to help you get clear about what you want out of life. So we're going to start first with remembering when you were just ecstatic about life. Things were just working well. We're going to talk about those things that were working well and maybe figure out how we can add some of that back today. After we figure out what we want, we're going to start making an action plan. So we're going to look at your hours. We all begin with the same 168 hours every week. We want to know how you spend your time now. So we're going to work through this. Then once we get that down, we're going to figure out which activities are a non-negotiable for you. Now, I'm not talking about picking your kids up from school or packing lunches. I know you're going to get that done. I'm talking about long-term goals that you really find important and that you don't want to let pass you by. So after we do that, we'll look at the percentage of the areas in your life, and I've identified some here, but you can alter that and make it fit your life. It certainly doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but you'll tally the number of hours you spent in each category. It is a great overview. In fact, when I saw it, I was a little surprised, but that's okay. The first step is knowing where you are. So then when you figure that out, we're going to edit and figure out how to add some fun back. And this seems to be one of the most popular pages. This is, you use colored pencils and figure out what percentage of satisfaction do you have in each of these areas. Then we'll talk about dreams. So your wildest dreams. You don't even have to edit here. Just go with what you feel and what is most important to you. Just write those big dreams down. We're going to talk about your legacy, and I know that sounds really scary, but the things that you do today will be your legacy tomorrow. So you can think of it in smaller terms if it makes you nervous to think about your legacy at the end of your life, but I'm not necessarily talking about that. I'm talking about with your children, if you have children, or among your peers, or at your workplace. You will have a legacy. Even if you stay at a job for a year and a half, you will have a legacy at that job. So figuring out what you're doing today will certainly determine the way you're remembered. So after we figure out those goals, we're going to take one goal, and you can do this as many times as you like, and we're going to break it down stepwise. Figure out who can help us, what tiny actions we can take to begin moving forward today. We'll talk about some of our character traits, the things that will help us, the things that might hinder us. We'll talk about ideals. What situation would be perfect for each area of life? Sometimes we're going to edit life and figure out what things are not working. So there's a worksheet to help us with that. And then I love this. It was just really mind-boggling to me when I figured out that I could break down goals into small actions that I could actually begin today. I have that perfectionist mindset, and so I generally don't like to start things until I can finish those things, but there are ways you can start small. Then we'll take each area that we've identified, talk about ways we're procrastinating progress, and little steps to take action in those areas. You can see there's several worksheets like that here. And again, like I've already confessed, I am a perfectionist. We'll talk about some ways that we can move past that and still make progress. Or addicted to busyness. I know I have that problem sometimes, and some of my friends, we talk about, well, we're doing this, or we've got to do that, or, sometimes our busyness doesn't actually support the goals that we have. So we'll talk about strategies that we can take care of that busyness to make it work for us. Then being scared of change, that's also pretty common, and it's human, it's easy to be scared of the unknown. So we'll work through that. Then we'll talk about mindset. And sometimes we have thoughts that do not support our goals, thoughts that are not true. You know, there's a saying that thoughts are not facts. You should not take them that seriously. And that's true. So we'll figure out what thought processes we have that are not supporting our goals. And when we figure out what they are, we'll begin to replace those with some positive thoughts that are more factual. You know, positive thoughts about the attributes we have that can contribute to our success. Then we'll get down to the actual goal setting. And I'm sure you've heard of the SMART method. Goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. We'll talk about how to set a good goal, one that's easy for us to work toward and then measure our progress. And this is probably one of my favorite worksheets in the whole planner. I use this a lot for projects too, if I'm working on a project that has several steps and need to break it down, but it's perfect for goals. If you have a really big goal in mind, you write the goal and then determine what tiny tasks make up that goal and give yourself a deadline. I know I work really well on a deadline basis, and then a reward. So you set a date, give yourself a reward. This is a fantastic way to accomplish really big goals. Then we're going to talk about obstacles and solutions. So we know what our goal is, we know what our tasks are, and we also know that there are going to be obstacles. But if we can identify some of those obstacles in advance and come up with solutions, then it really increases our success. It makes it a lot easier to accomplish what we need to accomplish, especially if you've tackled this goal before and failed, which all of us have done that before. But you might even have some more insight. You might know what obstacles you encountered the last time, and you can brainstorm ahead of time this time so that you can make sure you reach your goal. So those are the worksheets included in the Glam Slam Goals Planner. I hope you've enjoyed the tour. Let me tell you, it can make a huge difference just to know what your goals are, where you are in life. It is eye-opening when you really sit down to look at it. And then once you figure out where you're going, you will be unstoppable.